Hey Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. Now I've spent the whole morning replying to a whole bunch of your comments and your questions about the CH160, but instead of me wasting any more time sitting there replying to comments, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna answer some of those questions in this video right here so we can clarify a few things so the CH160 may or may not make more sense to you guys. So without further ado, let's jump in and take another look at the Deepcool CH160, and some things may or may not surprise you. Let's do a, I guess we're answering questions. Let's do a question and answer. Oh shit! First of all, I wanted to talk about something that I put in the pinned comment. I think it's very important to touch on this so you guys can get a little bit of an understanding of how case reviews and this type of content works. So the CH160 was sent to us, I'm gonna say about a month and a half ago, right? And we get a lot of cases coming through, and basically whenever a case is sent through, the manufacturer says, hey, can't do anything with it yet, there's an embargo, don't launch any content until a certain day. Now, Deepcool's embargo for this case was today. Well, actually, it was supposed to be around sometime tonight. However, when we reached out to Deepcool to clarify what the embargo was, because they gave us a date, they did not give us a time, they quite flippantly said, hey, it releases at whatever time today. So instead of us taking more time to refine our video and work on the video in the allotted amount of time that we'd set for this video, it's kind of on us at the same time as well. Deepcool didn't communicate with us, right? And when I say it's on us, I'm saying, you know, like usually we would have more time and work on stuff a bit earlier. But guys, I don't have to work on weekends all the time. Monday morning rolls around, I want to start work and filming a new case review. And this is the result of that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is there's like 2 typos in the video. The first one is Deepcool. I didn't even notice that because, like I said, I was scrambling to do everything. The graphs had a little correction that I'll make in this video so you guys can understand what it was, but essentially where it says no filters was actually supposed to be no top fan, because the way that I do it is in After Effects, and it's like a CSV file that I populate and then it just puts all the new names and values in. I put the values in the CSV, but I didn't change the labels, which are in the same file, so it happens. But yeah, the graph will be corrected in this. I saw a comment with someone saying, oh, I don't believe you that the embargo was changed. Look, here is an email showing you exactly how it was changed. And here's my response to that email to Deepcool. So, you know, believe what you want, I don't give a shit. I hope that clears up that, because to be honest, I was pretty fucking pissed off at the fact that I only had a couple of hours to tie it up. Now I could have left it till later, but you know how these things go with YouTube, guys. Sometimes if you miss that review window, yeah, no one's gonna care, but you know, I should have just left it and not given a shit, but that's on me for that. But at the same time, Deepcool's communication is about as good as their quality control on their cases. All right, let's answer some of the more fun questions that even I think are a little bit interesting. The first one was, what does the case look like without the top handle? My response was pretty stupid. I was like, oh, it looks like the case without a top handle. Let's find out, because now I'm curious. Oh, look, it's the same old story again. I have to remove 85,000 screws to get into the case. Someone complained that I complained too much about how many screws are in the case, guys. It's too many. They could have just had panels that popped on like every other case on the face of the fucking planet. I don't hate this case. I actually think it's a really nice idea. And I saw other comments about people saying, oh, you know, like it's copied from some random brand in China somewhere, but they're all made in the same factory and probably just released it before Deepcool could release it. So, you know, no big deal. I noticed when we were tinkering with this case that there's a couple screws on the back side of the handle that hold that handle on. I think it's just gonna be exactly like you think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna look exactly the same. I would go as far as saying it probably just goes through those square holes on the grill. Usually we wouldn't make videos responding to comments like this, but I thought this one was interesting enough because given the price of the CH160, I think it's gonna be kind of popular. Despite how terrible the build quality is, I think people are still going to buy it regardless of whatever I say. Like I suspected and I said in the comments, it quite literally looks like the top of the case without a handle on it. That's the easiest way to explain it. It is, yeah, there's nothing special about any of the handle stuff. It just goes on. If we pop it back on top, you can see, just looks like the case, right? Okay, that one's answered. The next thing I wanted to address is installing the fan as exhaust in front of the cooler. This is something I addressed in the video, and sometimes it frustrates me when I specifically say something and you don't listen. Like, you're hearing me, but you're not listening to what is being said. I said exactly what you're saying in the video. I even mentioned that in my own air-cooled builds, I don't put fans at the top at all. And I want to show you why putting any fans at the top is not necessarily a good idea, especially with this GPU. Check out the thermals if I flip the fan over here, right? If I set it to intake. Look at that. It's exactly the same thermals for the CPU without the top fan. So it's completely negligible. You can put it up there if you want to fill up your case, but from my many years of experience with building PCs and small form factor PCs, more fans can impede airflow. You have to remember how air in these cases are supposed to flow. They're usually supposed to flow in a straight line. There's exceptions to every rule, but the second air changes 90 degrees in its direction, it loses its efficiency. Instead of the air being pulled into the CPU cooler, you're then pushing it into the exhaust of the GPU. Not every GPU is a flow-through design like these founders cards, but you know, it is something interesting to mention and something to take into account. So the other reason why I put the fan in the top is people always ask, how come you didn't put fans in the top? And to be honest, it doesn't matter which orientation we put stuff in, we're always wrong. As far as GPU fitment in this case, I get some of the complaints you guys have as well, because these are complaints that I have too. With something like the 4090 Founders, yeah, it fits in the case. I had to do some things after building it to just clean up the cables and whatnot, and I had to pull the card back out. And although it takes 30 seconds to go in, or rather 31 seconds to go in, it will take you about 15 minutes to get it back out because it is very, very tight. So like I said, if you could take the front panel off and there was a hole in the front or whatever to feed the card through, it would have been better. Here's the biggest tip that I've got about GPU fitment in these small form factor cases. Check the measurements of your card, and if it doesn't fit, well then don't buy this case. That's all I can say. Yeah, the idea is nice, it's good, it's portable. If you're looking at building a small form factor PC to move around and travel with, don't go for any of the bigger cards. They're just not going to fit in here. Something like any of the reference cards for AMD will fit. And I also get the comments that I see about people saying, oh, you know, like, it's all well and good that a 4090 Founders fits, but no one can buy them. I agree. I only do this because people ask about these type of cards because it's a good reference and a jump off point to know what will fit. So this one does fit, but again, just measure everything, make sure it's all up to snuff. And if your own hardware doesn't fit, just don't buy it. It's easier to just not buy it. There's lots of small form factor cases on the market. Maybe not in this price range, but you know, that's how it is, right? Not everything's perfect, but you have to make do with what you can buy and what's affordable. Last thing, if you're seeing us use a certain type of hardware in a build video or a case review, we're just using what we have. There's a lot of cards that we don't have or a lot of hardware we don't have, and we can't use what we don't have, if that makes sense, right? Yeah, that's just how it is. We're not rich people. We just do the job because this is our job, right? Look at me, my t-shirt is like 4 years old. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you would have seen me wear this shirt for like 4 years, right? Although it's a little baggier on me these days because I've lost 13 kilos and not a single person has noticed that I've lost 13 kilos in the past 2 months.
Doesn't the camera add 20 pounds?
I don't know, but no one has, it's a lot. It's like, I don't know, it's like 30 pounds or something. No one's even commented a single time that they notice I've lost weight, which is a bit sad. Which means no one cares and no one watches anymore.
No, it's hard to see.
13 kilos, man, I've lost in the last 2 months.
Good job.
Yeah. Look at my face, I have a jawline now, look. Well, that's the wrong side. Look, I've got a jawline now. I had a fat line before. Anyway, on with the video. This is filmed completely out of order. You're about to see all the other fucked up things that happened in this video.
Oh.
Look, spoiler alert, Don't do that. It's very, very dumb. I saw another comment that I thought was actually quite interesting and I didn't respond to it because it got me thinking. Machines and More apparently put a 240ml liquid cooler in their CH160. I haven't watched the video, I'm sorry, but I want to just put a cooler in and see what the deal is, and then we can figure out together what the whole story is, because that's what we do here. I got to pull out the cooler that's in here because it's going to get in the way and all the brackets and stuff. You can just watch me hating my life doing this, but yeah, let's do it. Actually, I don't hate this cooler. It's pretty cool in terms of the way the air coolers go. So you pull off that little magnetic panel and it's got the fan. It's kind of like a cartridge, and you kind of unclip it and you can slide the fan out. I think that is really freaking cool. That is a very good design. It's a shame the rest of their components don't share cool designs like that. Oh yeah, and this is also that busted MSI board that's now fixed. So I suspect to fit a 240 in here, we'll have to remove the front fan, and I think that's gonna be okay. So we'll do that with another, I don't know, million screws. Yeah, I'm still complaining about the screws because it's stupid. And I get it. You're not going to be building this PC every day, but I do build PCs every day. I mounted the brackets on the liquid cooler that are looser than your mum.
Oh.
I made that joke in the video, or tighter, one of the two. And we'll see if it fits. Oh, looks like it is fitting. Machines and More may have been onto something. In defense of Deepcool, I can see why they said it doesn't support 240ml liquid coolers, but they could have said it only supports it in a certain configuration like other case manufacturers. So basically, I think the reason why they've said it is because of the power supply. So if you're using an ATX power supply or you have your SFX power supply rotated the other way, then it's obviously you're not going to fit because, you know, the power supply is going to get in the way. But in the event of you using an SFX or SFXL power supply on the side in that configuration, then you absolutely can. The other reason why I think they may have said, oh, it doesn't support liquid coolers is probably down to the fact that the pump tops are quite tall and maybe won't fit behind the motherboard and the radiator, basically because the motherboard sits quite high up on the CH160. And this is a bit disingenuous, but most of Deepcool's AIOs have really tall pump tops, but there's plenty that don't have tall pump tops. So they're like, hey, if it doesn't fit our coolers, then it's not going to fit anyone's coolers, where, yeah, that's really not the case. Now that I've done some proper fitment testing with the CH160, I can kind of confirm that 240ml radiators and liquid coolers will fit, kind of, right? And here's the major caveat here. The pump top, as I suspected, is going to be the defining factor with this case. You can see here with this random NZXT cooler, I just pulled off the top pile of all of our 240ml liquid coolers. The screen or the pump top is touching the fan inside. Now, if you really don't care, then I guess you could get away with this. Now, to force it, because I really don't care and I'm doing this for science, I screwed in this side bracket and pushed it as far across as I could. I got the third screw down here in, but now the fourth screw, although I can get it somewhat to line up, we're going to do this one together. I'll do it on like a wacky angle, which you probably shouldn't do. And yeah, you can't get that fourth screw in. And what's actually happening here, I don't know if you can see it on video. See if I can get you an angle where you can see. But there's so much pressure on the motherboard, it's bowing the case on the motherboard tray. This is what I was saying in the review. The materials are so thin that you can bend them like paper, and this panel here is quite literally bending from the amount of force being exerted, pushing the radiator and fans up against the pump top. But never fear, I'm still going to test the thermals for science, because I don't care if I break this, people will still want to know what the thermal performance is like for some reason, so I'm going to do it anyway. Science, right? Heck of a thing. I did manage to get that screw in, but it ain't pretty, guys. Don't do this at home. I'm only doing this to answer your questions. This is really bad. All right, here's something funny. Putting the top panel on after like the case being completely flexed because of this cooler is it will go on with no screws now because it's like so pushed apart. It doesn't go on easily. If this posts, I'll be very surprised. And if it doesn't post, it also won't surprise me because there's just so much force exerted on the CPU socket right now. Oh, this is a bad idea. All right, you asked for it. Let's find out together, friends. Find out together. I'm sure it's going to work. Or maybe it won't. I don't really care. I just want to know what the thermals are like so I can retest it for you guys.
5 minutes later.
This is not good, guys. Oh no. I think we've killed it. Yay. Science.
20 minutes later.
Okay. Here's my expert analysis of the situation. What's happening is, as I said before I powered this on, I said, flashback to the clip, if this posts, I'll be very surprised. There's just so much force exerted on the CPU socket right now. Looks like I was more than correct. There's so much force exerted to the top of the cooler and like pushing back into the socket that it's just not going to work. And I think I've killed this perfectly good working setup. This is exactly what I predicted because this is the kind of stuff that I do. Yeah, guys, don't do this. Don't do 240mm liquid coolers in this case because you'll probably cook it. Unless you have one of the Fantex coolers without the pump top cover that makes it really flat. Yeah, don't do this. Yeah, I've actually just ruined this. Great, sweet. Well, that's the answer to doing 240mm liquid coolers. Don't do it. You'll just fuck your hardware like I just did. That's okay if I break something, but for you guys out there, if you break something, you'll be more pissed off. I'm just kind of, I don't really care. It's a bit sad, but you know, on to bigger and better things. Don't do this.
Yes, science!
A little bit disappointing that this is dead. I'm just leaving it on as a reminder to not do 240mm liquid coolers in this case unless you're very, very sure that it's going to fit. This very popular NZXT cooler doesn't fit. And again, it's to do with the height of the pump top. There are lots of exceptions to this. As I mentioned, some of the Fantex coolers have a removable pump top which just make it very thin and flat and can go in there. That would be okay in here. But as far as a cooler like this, just forget about it. Don't do it. Just avoid this case if you're going to be doing any liquid cooling or with any liquid cooler. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I did the science for you.
Yeah, science.
And showed that, yeah, it might fit, but it's going to kill your hardware. Now I'm going to go and diagnose whatever happened with that. I'm going to guess that the motherboard's probably cracked or something really stupid. And yeah, I did it for you guys. That's the only reason why I do the things that I do here on the channel. So if you like me wrecking my own stuff and being a bit grumpy today, give it a like. If you don't, I don't care. Yeah, I'm your science breaking, fourth dimension wall breaking idiot Nick with Gear Seekers. You pick, we seek, and yeah, we will rebuild. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I just hope it didn't take the chip with it. You can take the motherboard, I don't care. Just don't take that 7800 XRD because it's the only one I got. Thanks for watching. Don't liquid cool in this case. It's a terrible idea. Don't do it.